debatable, but we'll get through that. Organization of. Oh, okay.
So okay, call the meeting to order. Call it 2:30. Everyone get the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Changes or? A motion to approve?
Make the motion up. That's right.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? What's next? Just discussion? Okay, tallied the responses that he got for the spreadsheet. Yeah, before you. And Rick, was it, if we fund everything to the fullest, first 12 would,
Yeah, if we get down to, again, so basically we had nine people sent back their rankings. So what I did was, again, it was just simple math of dividing all the numbers up and ranking them 1 through 26. And basically, if you look at the remaining government appropriations of 567,000, it gets us between 11 and 12. Down to 12 is $587,000. So again, and also if you look at getting down to 12 and 11 and 12, that's on the higher side of the 5. So that means there was more favoritism towards those projects than not favoritism. So anything below 5 would have been something that was ranked more unfavorably, but as far as being done.
also looks like there's some ties, so there'd have to be some
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think,
scrubbing.
so what I tried to do was, and then I ran something separate of taking the high and the low out, the highest and the lowest, but it made very little change. So everyone was pretty much aligned.
That's interesting.
Okay.
It was, I mean, it was like 0.16. It wasn't worth the value of,
Right.
I don't think it would have changed any, nothing was gonna jump anybody else. Like someone just loved the number 9, or someone really didn't like a project and put 1. It didn't, no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just let you guys know that it didn't really make that big of a change.
Margin of error is not like 3% or something.
Nuh-uh.
We had enough votes. If it was 2 people doing it, then that'd be a big deal, but
Yeah.
we have 9 people, so. No, I think this is a step in the right direction in terms of just creating separation across things. And also I was thinking that, we should maybe start thinking about which numbers are numbers to get there and which numbers are contributing towards a bigger idea. So that, we can maybe bucket more of these together. What I'm saying is, like, let's say someone put 50 grand down for something, but it's 50 grand towards a 200 grand goal. If we were to shy that back to like 90% of that 50 grand target, maybe that helps us add more things to the list. But the reality is we're gonna still, this list is gonna have to hemorrhage.
Well, I mean, the big one's number 9. I mean,
Engine 5 replacement,
Engine 5.
because that's not gonna get you all the way there either.
and it has to be done-
200,000
and it has to be done in the next 3.5 years. The trucking would have to be delivered.
and it's funded through
Yeah, I
capital.
mean, 'cause the
So
money has to be spent.
Well, it does save the taxpayers, though.
Yeah, I'm not saying take it out.
Almost $1 million in taxpayer savings.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a big one.
because it takes a while to get there, no matter if you ordered it today or not. And,
Well, Ben, you had a.
Yeah, I just, if you'd indulge me, somebody who understands this stuff about capital expenditure versus non-capital expenditure, because one of the criteria we were looking at was, are there alternate sources of funding available? And I remember vaguely, there was some discussion with the Engine 5 that it could be currently, before this started being looked at, it was a capital project that was going to be funded over many years. And so how does that impact this analysis? If someone could just give me a recap of that, because I don't remember quite how that worked.
I can do that.
There's also another complexity specifically for this one because there are grant, the truck is very expensive, incredibly expensive. And so there are specialty grant opportunities to help get there. Grants aren't guaranteed, but we're gonna talk about that.
Really? What are we waiting for, Ben?
Have you seen that?
I have not seen a grant on engine 5 and it's haunted me for my 10.
Well, I have not seen one either, but I'm just
I would
saying,
love it.
typically,
You're
no one
on.
has $1 million in their sock. They can pull it out to buy a truck.
And it's only gonna get more expensive, so by
It's gonna get incredibly more expensive.
purchasing it sooner is gonna be a savings by not stretching it out and then dealing with another cost savings in additional 2 years.
I mean,
But this question was very specific about capital.
I can talk to that. Engine 5 is on the capital list and we are putting money towards it every year. Right now, the way I see it, and again, I had questions. I still have some things we have to work out, I think, on it. But this is a long time coming. I will grant them that. We're talking a 30-year-old fire truck that we've rehabbed till we can't anymore. We did have a longer range plan. I don't want to raise taxes. I think my only caveat in it is to make sure that we have a plan where we don't have to hit the taxpayers with a double whammy. And we might be able to get around that. But the taxpayers are going to pay for it. This will take a $200,000 burden off of every taxpayer in town. Because this will go, first of all, we'll be able to do it faster. And second of all, we're not going to be coming to you to collect $200,000. So, I mean, I'm a proponent of it. I think there is a couple of things we definitely have to work out, make sure we can get it done without having to come back with a big tax raise. But I think with the timing and how long it takes to do it, with this money, we may, I don't know with funding and, I mean, there's a couple of things. Do we have to come up with a whole pile of money when you order the truck?
It's like you could use this
No.
200 for the down payment.
Exactly.
The
And that
chassis.
still gives us
And
time.
does that lock in the lower price if you were to do that, for instance?
No, I think everything's market price now.
No, so unlike the mini excavator, which we didn't put a down payment on, we did the whole thing.
Right.
You're not locking in a price by putting a third of our ARPA funds toward the fire truck.
If you get a contract on a vehicle that you're purchasing, then you may be able to lock in that price.
Okay.
Suppose you could sit on a chassis and leave it at
I mean, our
night for.
DPW truck just went up and we had a contract signed there.
Yeah.
Just based on.
So,
I mean, I
like,
think,
Board of Finance, what is your, it sounds like not all the answers are there, but like, what is kind of the timeframe you're thinking? Is it 3 years out or?
oh, no, we were longer out. I don't remember exactly how far,
It's 5 out,
but we're 5 out. But you're taking.
but we're 2 into it
200,000.
already.
We're 2 into it. So there's, and if you add,
1,000 already?
well, with this, we'd have 400,000. And then if it takes 4 years to get there, 450, and if it takes 4 years to get there, it doesn't change our plan.
Yeah.
If we don't have to, like I said, there's a couple of things obviously we have to nail down. I just didn't want everybody, we have to come up with $450,000 this year, but I don't think we have to. And it accelerates purchasing the engine. It accelerates. It's going to be 4 years before we get it. It sounds like by the time it goes through what it has to go through and then ordering it and then building it. Wherever we start that, it's a ways out.
One thing that is kind of in the favor to shorten that time period is Rob Ebner, the chief, is looking at, I can't remember what he called it. It's pretty much a standard. It's not going to be a custom. It's going to be a standard build, I guess, for the company.
Yeah.
Supposedly that should move along quicker.
Yeah.
Still, it's going to be a while.
So if I could just clarify, if I can understand, before this happened, before we were thinking about putting 200 toward it, it was going to be another 5 years. So we were 2 years into the capital program. It was going to be another 5 years for a total of 7 years.
It's something. like
No,
that.
5 total, I thought.
Or just 5 full. So we're 2 years in and it was going to be another 3. And if we put this money in, we're 2 years in, it would be another 2 or 1 or what?
No, I think it's about the same if we
I
can,
think we're probably looking at a total between 700 and 800,000.
yeah.
Okay.
So if we start with 4 and then we have 4 to go, I mean, we could increase capital a little bit, but I think,
May have.
we gotta run the final numbers on it, but
So we have 250 already
we have 250 now.
toward a total of either 700 or 800. Is that fair?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
this 200 would,
Yeah, it would be like another, it would just,
Just to appreciate the reason behind it, 5 goes out for almost every single call.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's first.
It's
Is that why you wore that shirt, Ben?
happy coincidence, but not bad market. The only thing that was clean. So it's from a life safety perspective, it is important.
All right.
You'll see it. You'll see
Well,
it.
that was very helpful to me to clarify, because I know people explained this, that it's a capital item, we'd already put money aside, so I was wondering how that fit in with the criteria of this, but that was very helpful. Thank you.
I mean, a lot of these could go into capital, not all of them, obviously. Like message sign, all the HVAC stuff, the bathrooms, all that stuff really could be in a capital budget.
Mhm.
But there are already a number of items in that capital budget. We have a 15-year plan. And we don't want to raise taxes at a crazy rate to meet that plan by adding these other things.
question on some of this, like the number one thing, and I think everybody's for it, but could that fall under LoSiP? Or where are you at with LoSiP fundings?
It's getting a little low. That's my only thing. It's low.
I'm sorry, what's LoSiP?
Local capital improvement money. It's money from the state. We get
It's
about,
like a steep grant, but for capital.
well, it's the state kind of puts money into a little bank account that they hold. $22,000, I think, or 21 something a year for Morris.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And it-
probably, yeah, it's low 20s.
And you have to apply for it. They have to approve the project and then you spend the money and then they reimburse you for what you spent if it's an approved project.
It's actually, right now it's in your O1 account when really it shouldn't be, because the state has a savings account. It's like a savings account with the state. They don't give you the actual money.
Yeah.
So if you overspend in LoSiP, that you actually get the money back on the revenue side.
That's why it's,
You don't- it
it's
should
one of
not-
those funny, you have to
Yeah, it
look at
shouldn't.
two different documents.
Yeah, it
because
shouldn't be in.
It has to be because you have to spend it.
No, I
So
know.
that's why we.
What happens is we use contingency when we overspend it, which is wrong because it's not really contingency. I mean, just doing math. I
It
mean,
does wash on the revenue side. I mean.
yeah, no, you're right. No, I'm not saying that.
Accounting is an
I know,
ugly beast.
I know.
It's not as cut and dry as.
Well, I just kind of back to the problem. Still got 26 things on here. And it sounds like the top, I'm gonna say the top 13 should be discussed only because the bottom 4 are tied. Just to be fair to the, everything
yeah.
got 5.4. Everyone's gonna have a different viewpoint coming into this, but I think things that are going to be offsetting tax bumps is important, obviously, because we're all taxpayers. The other is I personally appreciate things that add quality of life. So like I look at things that improve recreation and things where kids can enjoy it. Obviously, even improve lake quality. Those, if without Bantam Lake, we really lost a huge definition of the community here, at least half the town. So we should maybe start discussing of the top contenders in that 5.4. How do we want to handle that so we can be possible of all of them?
Is the fresh food grant already taken out of this?
No, it's number 8. It didn't get through.
No, I know, but,
We did talk about it. We did approve it,
Approved it. Yeah.
right.
but I think the Board of Selectmen need to, did you guys approve?
Yeah, sadly, and Rob, inadvertently, we left it off the agenda, but we can get that, we can call them up and get that secured by the end of the month.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so that's the reason why it's here. It's just,
I was,
it's not officially.
Glad to hear
Okay.
that. And that would be a no on its future expense because it's just a one-time, one-year thing. So
If you're summing up to 13, what's the actual total number?
Said 580.
I think it's gonna be, I mean,
That should be 612 if you're 587. Well,
yeah, it was 587.
with 12 through 12,
Correct.
so
So
it should be 612.
12. I mean, you might as well throw in number 14 because it's above 5. And 5 is really the, you know what I'm saying? 5,
Oh, yeah.
you had more 5s than 7s.
So if we. A lot of these are asked numbers. Again, they're not definitive, like Northwest Transit is asking for 10. All these.
I mean, really, if you put 150 towards the fire truck,
There you go.
everything's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not my.
Well, the only reason I said 95 is just to make
Well, it's
it.
hard too, is we don't have all the money.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's one thing to say, even if we wanted to grant $567,000, we still have another, I think, 18 months to get the rest of the money. Right, Tom? Is it, it's every 2 years we're getting the money?
It was 2 tranches.
We should get this year, correct?
It is this, we just don't, we don't have it now.
May I just ask again on the affordable housing, which I am all for? It's, if the well does not work out, we're just out of luck on 140,000.
Well, Jim is online. I don't know if he's still with us.
Here he comes.
I'm here. I just have a sick 2.5-year-old in the other room. So when I talk, Grella does all the wells at Eldridge. He's pretty confident that one test well will give us results. So, but that's the hard thing when you just purchase the land, that with the test well, that's going to give us, all the information that we need. So, we're really relying on that to determine what and how the project would move forward. But if you're right, if the test doesn't come back the way that we think it will and hope it will, we're kind of set back a little bit, and we're going to have to do, more investigation with the water. But if it's like Eldridge, Eldridge has 2 active wells. We could, Tom, I think we dug one deeper not too long ago, and it's worked, really well. So, with a test well, we could just dig it a little deeper.
The well worked well.
I suppose you could always add another well at Eldridge to increase the capacity and then pipe it over to the new land.
Just refresh my, so that parcel, what does that get in terms of units?
Well, for perk tests, it went to what, 19?
So 21 bedrooms is the max a septic can handle. So that doesn't necessarily correlate to units at this point.
Yep.
But 21 bedrooms is where the land stands right now.
Or 11,
You don't have the room for that.
Yeah, has it been through zoning at all?
Has it been through zoning? No,
Does that go through?
I believe it kind of gets a little bit of a pass.
That's how zoning may say you can only put 3 units in.
Affordable housing is through the state.
Yeah. So we don't necessarily, if zoning, there's a state reg that kind of allows affordable housing to be put in certain areas. But isn't that zoned for, Tom, isn't that zoned? This project hasn't gone through it yet, but it's zoned for units, I think.
I'm not quite sure what residential zoning it has right now there.
Okay.
Where it is at. But yeah, affordable housing does get a bit of a pass on a lot of the local regulations.
So if there's additional wells that need to be drilled and all that, does that increase the expense? I mean.
This is just the
that,
land.
No, this included the well, the test well. Yeah.
I think the question though was, is it possible to do the test well first before we're fully committed to that parcel? So is it?
I think you said last week or 2 weeks ago, I think you said that was not possible.
Right.
Because the guy.
Most likely not, because then we would have to kind of change our agreement with the sellers
Right.
and determine where that well is. So if we were to back out of the purchase of the land, then they're kind of stuck with a well in a certain spot to then offer it out to the next buyer, who then has a well in a particular spot, which they might not want or need, or you never know what the next person would.
I don't know what the benchmark for that parcel is, but is that a fair market price? Is it aggressive? Is it under market?
Yeah, it's right there. We took time to kind of go through all that with our attorney at the housing authority level. And, you know, they've been very good to us just, you know, through this agreement. You know, it's not on the market. You know, they took it off the market and have an agreement with us through June 30, where in probably the hottest market we've ever had, or at least in my lifetime, they haven't even had the chance to sell that land. So, you know, we thank them for helping us out, and now we're at this point. So, you know, it's a fair price to them. It's what they put it out on the market for.
I really don't mean to be a pain about this, but someone did email me concerning that property and the purchase of it, and that the well system had been tested before. And I have not been around that long, so.
There's no well system on the property.
Well, I'm sorry, the water had been tested before.
I don't believe so.
Not on that line. Our water's tested all the time through
Is that
Grella and.
like a perk test? maybe?
I don't know that there were, I don't know.
Yeah, there's no previous wells at all there in that. property.
Okay.
But it hasn't been.
It's just a plot of land.
It has,
Yeah,
yeah,
we'd
we,
have to be.
I'd imagine if it's for sale, if you do discover something, it would have to be disclosed.
Okay.
in the-
All right.
Just like if you do an inspection and there's something,
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
but I don't know.
It did rank pretty high, number 4.
Yep. That's good.
Oh, where do we go from here?
One last question. This would be your, you know, as subject matter expert for affordable housing, is this your top choice for a spot?
So the interesting part of the situation we're in is not very often does a affordable housing complex have adjacent land. That's probably the biggest thing with you know, the situation we're in. The plot's right there. No, it's right next to where we are. And I've talked to this people at the state about this plot since we've had our agreement, and they said this situation doesn't come up very often. So it would be, in my mind, perfect for exactly what we want to do, location wise. And, you know, I think it doesn't get much better than this.
Sounds like you like it.
That answer your
I actually
question?
have the same situation in Litchfield, but you know, the plot of land's way overpriced.
Gotcha.
I have a question. I'm not sure what it entails. When it comes to public input or public votes or whatever, does any of this become subject to public input with the affordable housing?
Jim, did you hear that?
Yeah, it probably would to some extent, but that state statute or the state reg that Tom had mentioned, I forget what it is, really lets affordable housing get a pass in certain areas. It technically allows big developers to purchase land and bypass zoning and just put up structures kind of wherever they determine. In small towns, it's typically not used. It typically goes through zoning and approved that way. So that state reg doesn't have to be used. But in some regard, it would have to go.
Hearings, I imagine.
Yeah, through you know, the town procedures with, you know, building multifamily units or whatever it might be.
Well, I guess the question is, does this have to go through town vote of any kind or just public hearing?
I mentioned public hearings. It's the housing authority that's doing the project.
I wouldn't say
Right,
that
but
the
usually
housing authority would
neighbors-
have certain, we wouldn't have certain public hearings that are a requirement. The funding might, depending on what funding we get, through certain of those guidelines, if it's state money, if it's federal money. But if the town has any guidelines that we would need to follow with some of that stuff, we'll follow whatever we need to follow. And it's not like we're taking over like the project in Banham, taking over the annex and everybody, for affordable housing. And everybody didn't want that particular property converted to affordable housing. This would be a new construction, so it's a little different than some of the other projects that have gone, in local towns.
Yeah, I just have seen in other towns that, I mean, usually adjacent property owners and neighbors have some voice to this.
The access to this would be through the existing Eldridge. It would be through
Off the
There-
drive.
Up the driveway. But you still have,
It could be.
It could be, yeah, I suppose. Because it's that upper corner, you would come off of an Eldridge, the upper corner of that lot, pull a driveway through there.
It could be off the driveway. It depends on where the units would fit on the plot, and where the, septic is put, and then where the wells are. There's a number of access points we could have. But if we want a certain access point, we create the units on the other side of the land or whatever it is. So, we can access it from Eldridge.
So Tom, you asked a while ago, where do we go from here? I mean, one thing you could say is that this committee has given the selectmen its collective opinion on everything that we've been talking about to date. And it's up to you guys to decide what kind of public information session you want next and to tweak what the committee has shared with you all. I'm not sure what else the committee properly could be doing for you, but if you want us to do something else, you can ask us. But I think we've run a pretty careful process, thanks to everybody around the table. And probably everyone's mildly disappointed with how it came out, which is probably a sign that it worked okay.
Yeah,
Subject to public input.
Yeah.
And what the selectmen decide. So that would be my simple-minded answer to your question. Is we are turning it over to you.
I agree with that. I was gonna just say something before that question was that just two things is one is the security cameras never made it on here. That was,
There was no dollar amount with them.
okay,
It's just, when things just get mentioned, but we don't get the official.
okay.
I didn't get anything that said, I heard us talk about
Kind of
it,
need a
but
quote or something,
I
or
need-
some sort of.
or a dollar amount to put to it. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, I got stuff for the senior center. I think I got 3 projects that I added last week. But I actually have to get for me to maintain this worksheet, I gotta keep it. I did have security cameras on here before, but we all said we just took that out completely.
Tom, you were gonna say something about security cameras?
Well, I'm just hoping that we can do that perhaps through capital,
Yeah.
see where we're at in that process this year. If we end up getting some LoCIP money, that would help too down there. It would help.
And I was just gonna say, for my part, I mean, I know we kind of were looking at going up to 13 or 14 on this list, but I mean, from 20 up, there was a few things that I think we could, get in there if we cut cut down some other things. I don't think we should just chop it off at 13, 14 and get, like, for instance, the Historical Society, I thought was a pretty good thing in the public library broadband study. I think, then those aren't 2 big ticket items that we can, except for the Morris Historical Society, but feel like those things shouldn't be just chopped off the block.
Yeah,
So
we're not doing a lot of the charities and we're not, like, we have those requests from the Barnum's lost revenue. And I know it's like the charities are kind of at the bottom. I don't know if that's, did we get away from intended?
But this was the ranking.
That's just the ranking.
Yeah.
That's my.
I understand.
argue with the data.
If we're just gonna open it back up again, then we've just seen our wheels.
made progress.
Going. What are we doing here? If we're gonna say, well, no, I really liked number 20, whatever, and we should put it back in, then it was a pointless exercise. That's all.
We have to be on the same page on a strategy. We also have to be okay that like there's gonna be there's gonna be more losers than winners on this.
But like you said,
I would love the historical society to be 100. They were one of my top choices.
well, but like you
Like-
said, we have these numbers here, which a hard cutoff, and we don't have to discuss it, but a hard cutoff is 10,000 here, 10,000 here, 30,000 here, 30,000 here, which when you look at the numbers and I say, are those real numbers? Because,
yeah,
somebody asked for, $40,000. Do they need 40
How about
or does
this?
20 get there?
How about this as a strategy? What if we were to take everything over 5 and essentially audit those numbers to see,
what's left?
yeah, where the fat is, and then look at that number and then see where we can expand it as a strategy.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, like, if we act human, which we're inclined to do, and talk about the virtues of each one of these, we're gonna find virtues in all these. And so
This is true.
we're gonna have,
And I'm not,
if we have to be a little bit heartless almost to like cut these down because it's gonna suck, but we have to do that.
well,
What about like Rick was saying, if you took engine 5 and put 150 into that free up more funding for
Thing
others?
that gets you to anything over 5.
I don't know though. if that-
5,000, you mean?
No.
No.
Rank.
Five rank.
Yeah, I think the only thing with engine 5, if we decrease, after you said that, if we decrease that number, we may have to run with taxes. So I mean, maybe there's math to be done because I don't have the answers with capital. I don't have the answers. Rob hasn't come in the Board of Finance. We don't have a plan.
Well, we can now say, hey, everyone who submitted each one of these line items, now it's getting real. Now we need, we can give them a little, put it onto them to give more due
Yeah,
diligence.
let's see where you're at with these.
And that's why I asked about LoSiP because we have,
Go to cap number 1. That is, it's probably $9,000 and change. Number
So that's
1, that's
pretty
a hard
close.
number.
right,
There you go.
right.
Northwest Transit, it could be 0.
They requested 10.
They requested
He
10.
requested 10 and
Greenwoods.
then he could use a lot more than.
They
All
requested,
right, all right. Greenwoods could be 0 if you wanted, right? There's no hard number there. Affordable housing kind of came in with a fairly hard number based on the estimates that Jim got in order to purchase the property and put in the test well and all that. Message sign, that's a pretty hard number. Came from a local company. So the top 5, those are your numbers.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, you could take Greenwoods Counseling and cut it down to 1,000. You could.
But when we start thinking,
cut it
that's a
to 4.
nonprofit right there. If we're trying to be as inclusive to like the different style of organizations or format. I guess you could say firehouses too, but
Is
and
the
so
air
is and
conditioning,
so is the food grant.
Tom, do you know the other hard numbers on these?
Let's see, I've had estimates from HVAC contractors. We did the firehouse HVAC, came in around 40,000. The community hall, I also had that done. That'd be 2 split units in this room on that wall. I had 2 contractors come out and look at that. That was a pretty hard number. Hopefully it hasn't changed too much. Recreation access, we've
got quotes for that.
got quotes on that.
but like on some of these, that's why I asked about LoSiP, because there's a lot of, not that it's not needed, but there's a lot of the
Well,
the town buildings.
there's a column here though that says other funding options.
Always other funding.
So there, well, yeah, there's,
Not all.
and sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't, but,
Actually, there is. If we choose to fund it.
well, I can take the balance, throw it on the budget, but you're probably kidding.
Well, I'm saying like,
Throwing it out there before.
I'm
we
saying like
walk away.
Greenwoods, I'm sure that's a bad example, but
Well, no, I mean, you have charities at the top, you have charities down in the middle, you have charity, so I mean,
What was the Morris ranked, what were we called as far as,
Disadvantaged community,
yes, due to the,
high unemployment. We're at 12.5% more than Bridgeport.
well, it was the convictions in Morris for drugs and everything else that put us into this ranking that we're in. Morris is like stuck out here with no one else around us.
Really? Negative.
Parts of Torrington than some of the larger cities
That's,
due to the convictions in this area for drugs.
I'm looking at the charities.
Well, Greenwoods would be.
That's why I'm looking at the charities. We have a lot of-
Counseling. They do referrals, they do counseling and referrals there. So he'd be happy to come down and actually do a presentation or do it through Zoom for the committee.
Is he from Morris?
I don't know if he's from Morris. He's a Simon Sally.
Yeah, that's
Do you know him?
He is my cousin,
Your cousin.
There you go.
but he wouldn't mind if all that money goes to the housing authority, so. He lives,
Good one.
he lives in Harwinton on the lake.
Do we have any other Simon Sallys on this list? Or is it-
There's enough of us.
Okay.
can the message sign be a capital thing and go to vote?
Yes, it can.
That's something I think, in my opinion, that could be.
Because if you wanted to go all the way through 14, you're looking at a shortfall, if you will, of 60, I believe, if my math is correct. So you could get there by, you could give Northwest Transit District 8 instead of 10 and Greenwood's 8 instead of 10 and do the message signs Ron suggested and then knock a little bit off of engine 5. That could be one way.
And if you bring 5 to 150, then everything over the 5 ranking. And by the way,
Wait, I just might not be
Yeah,
able
well,
to
that's what I was doing. I was adding up everything
I'm gonna
1 through
be-
14.
be hard nosed about that before we just give away $50,000 of, because they'll kill me.
yeah, that's great.
I gotta get this passed.
Doesn't change anything.
I know that.
I mean,
No, but the ranking system is really to give us a little more perspective, but it is,
Yeah, I'm
it is
just,
not a hard.
No, of course.
no, I understand that. I'm just pointing out like there is some numbers that we can play with. We don't have to give all requested. Maybe we could be more inclusive. I mean, I know the situation with Greenwoods, but you can make the same argument for, the other charities too. I mean, people are on hard times and you've got a lot of elderly. So I mean, maybe those aren't hard numbers where we could spread it out a little more, spread it thinner and more. It's a suggestion. That's all.
I'm just curious, when you talk about the budget and capital
Yeah.
for the fire engine, do you know if the town is increasing revenue recently with the property taxes and the new homes? that they're-
And listen,
Okay.
In other words, if you've had this plan for a 5-year engine, it seems like with the way things are going in town, we would hit that without having tax increase.
It's not a
Yeah,
one
I-
issue thing. And the reason why it's taken us 30 years to do it is you could be going along and just because we have money set aside there, it's on a, penciled budget. It's
Yeah.
not anything that's been voted on. And all of a sudden, next year, the school comes in and you're looking for $500,000.
Get 10 kids to move.
And all of a sudden, 10 kids move into affordable housing. And guess what? You ain't getting a fire truck because the townspeople love a fire truck that do not want to pay for it. So it's been sacrificed before. So I mean, it's always fluid in those respects. There's unknowns that we don't know. Right now, we're in great shape as long as nobody rocks the boat. Right?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the whole purpose of this funding was to make the town take the burden off the town's expenses and clean up a lot of stuff that need to be fixed.
Well, I don't know about the town. It's really like businesses and things.
Well, no, yes, some businesses that need help, but really that was really for the infrastructure of your town that you didn't really want to put on the taxpayers to pay. So, I mean, that's really was the whole, I believe that was it was mostly broadband was the first thing they brought up. Right, Tom, what was the main things they said?
sewer, water, broadband.
Yeah, I mean, those are the things that they were saying. These are things we know you don't want to pay for, so we want to help you.
Big capital infrastructure.
Correct.
That are necessary for, keeping your road
And
function.
I think
Right.
when you look at this, more so small towns, so we didn't get as much money, but some of these towns got billions,
Oh,
Yeah.
millions.
They're freaking
So
doing
that's why,
stuff. We're just like,
we're sitting there going with 600, which I'd love to have
Of
600,000.
businesses, is the barn interested in coming or no?
They were invited today.
They wrote a letter, didn't they?
we're a letter.
They
Yeah,
were,
they wrote a letter.
No, I know,
Well,
but they were
that's-
invited and they didn't come. I think that's.
They're probably working, like,
Probably.
It is 2:30 on a weekday. That's a good point.
Do that.
Well,
oh,
you want 20.
lunch is over.
I mean,
Dinner
to me,
prep.
that's an important thing, but the fact that,
I gotta give it to them.
to me, that's that's part of the ARPA thing is helping like the barn that comes to us. But the fact that they aren't coming with a presentation.
I don't think they
well, the
do that.
reality, each one of these is gonna have a negative impact if it's not well funded. In the barn, we could have suddenly a vacant commercial spot in one of the most visible spots in our town. There could be, I forgot what their staffing numbers were, but like maybe there's now 5 people who are going on unemployment. So
Right.
there's negative consequences to each. Well,
No.
there's negative consequences to some of these
Mhm.
at a human level, and some are, if your
Business level.
broadband isn't better, then the future quality of life is impacted, but like no one goes unemployed. So everything has a different cause and effect, and some are more heartfelt than others.
So basically, if we raise $424,151, then we could fund everybody, guilt-free, right? That's all we have to do.
Fund balance.
Looking good. I can take care of that tomorrow.
We can fix that little problem and, just put it on the Board of Finance, because I do have to face John Q. Public on this. That's okay. Tom, so the next steps, the selectmen, are you guys going to take it to the public or?
I'd like to have a forum sent to the public and have people be able to voice their opinions on it.
Should we
Would you cut it? Yeah, would
we
you?
mercifully whittle this down so that's a little, everyone's gonna have a touch point that they're gonna.
I think we have, but
Well, we're down to 26.
The funding.
no, I
goes to
think,
12.
are we down to like
Well, then
13 or 12?
is
We're
it,
down to like 11.
would it be appropriate for us to make a motion to say we want to highlight the top 13 line items?
Or do
You
we
know
make
what?
a motion to just submit this to them, to bring it to the selectmen? I mean, have we made, it's been right, have we done our jobs?
I feel like we haven't done the hard part of our job.
Okay, I move that we,
Well, hang on, there's more discussion here. Don't,
Let's not jump, because I think we're all on the same page in different ways.
yeah.
I say it very eloquently.
What do you think,
Okay.
I mean, Ben, and this is where that's why I asked Tom what their next step was. As far as the committee, I mean, we've gone over these, we've ranked them, we all know, nobody came back with 0. How far do you think the committee should go?
I think we should take
And I don't-
one little next.
I don't have an
step.
opinion on this.
I don't want to.
and what's the next little step?
Someone has to slaughter the animal. That's-
Some what?
Right.
Someone
It's
has-
gonna come, look, they're gonna end up on my board at some point in time screaming, so whatever, I'm already on the
If-
chopping
If
block.
ARPA didn't exist, it would be $0 and this would all be moved, right?
They
So,
don't wanna hear that. It's true. I guess.
and so the money's finite, unfortunately, and it has to go to something which is fortunate. We created a ranking based on everyone's different value. We all have really different values, which is good. We all have one vote, which is good.
Do you want to?
Strategically, I would love if we only had like 3 things on this list that we picked and did 3 big, put 3 big bets on 3 big things. But those are my values. I'd say I'd really want to focus on big infrastructure projects that are scary. So
Do you want to take a little time and do more homework? I mean, with the fire truck, I'm sitting there going, don't take any money away, but I don't have any numbers to go on. And we could do the research on it and come back with numbers.
this ranking
How long
comes
to
without
form?
justification. This ranking is all our personal.
But I might be able to say with certainty, we can get this done with $150,000. We haven't done the homework on it.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
So you
more,
wanna
because-
do
because
that?
From the population, they're not gonna do the homework. Well, I take that back.
Well, we
Some
can
will,
get it
some
done.
won't, but like, we should I think our responsibility is to have that next level of due diligence. So, yeah.
And I'm willing to do that. I mean,
That's awesome.
you, Tom, Rick, myself, and I can call Rob. I mean, we can get the numbers. We know what's in capital. We know what the plan is. We can get some hard numbers and say, how can we get it there without a major tax burden?
Yeah, you have to kind of look at it from the fund balance and capital side
Right,
to see what
Sure,
can
absolutely.
work, you know.
absolutely.
150 work, then great. If it can't, does it have to be 200, you know, right?
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't want to commit to something and then all of a sudden have to go to the taxpayers and say, we need $400,000 this year.
50 work.
So that's what I mean. There's homework that we can do to get to that hard number.
We should do that. Otherwise, everything's going to get ripped apart in that next step. And maybe it isn't like eliminating the bottom list, but maybe we just suggest a decision strategy where we just say based on the allocated funding, based on this priority of listings and the normalization of the results, there's acceptable funding to make the first 13 happen.
Right.
And we leave it at that. We could even, because I don't know, just making this, no one's ever done ARPA before, right? So we're doing it great. They're doing a great job. Next column, we just have this rank priority. We could add another one if we feel like there is a reasonable system to think about. Or not, like we could just keep it right here and enjoy our Thursdays going forward. Like,
I mean, the only thing we also have to think of is timing. I mean, this money's not available, all this money's not available this minute. So again, if you pick to do the ventilation, is that going to be the first thing you do? Or is that going to be something done in 2025?
I mean, you did really have to look
Sounds
at,
crazy, but that's how far this.
But yeah, we're not out of
Double
time to that.
money by the end of this year is what Tom's.
No, 2 years.
We have to expend it by 2025 or 6.
26.
But I thought we were
26.
getting the second half later this year, no?
That was my understanding.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
but it gets earmarked.
There is,
It's earmarked.
there is a timetable on some of this, and one would be the land purchase, because that
Yeah.
option runs out in June, I believe.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah, then you'd have to put them in order of,
Our recommendation could be strategic based on timeframes, or it could be based on opportunity windows. So like the land's not gonna be there forever. And so, in our recommendation, our strategy, we should highlight those things. Right now, it's just ranked on, or it's just prioritized based on just our rank priority, not even cost or timeframe. So
Yeah.
I feel like you had wanted to say something.
I did. Tracy had mentioned about perhaps changing the cost of things or the amount being donated to people. So I'm suggesting that we, in my case, the library fund to rank what I have, and I gave it out last time, and go with things that are priorities for now, and perhaps get some of that funding into the library part. We can ask in the regular budget for some other things and see if there's money in there. That even,
And some of these charities do have line items too. I mean, that's what I mean. Maybe we can squeeze here and there and
Yeah.
drop a little bit down lower. too.
yeah, I'm a big fan of friends and neighbors, but 20,000 is a lot. So,
Exactly.
one
So-
thing you can also do is kind of get a list of stuff, we all agree on, there's 12 things that we'd like to see, the top ones, we'd like to
Yeah.
see it funded. You start working on that list, and as you're going through that list, and you're actually completing a project, and hopefully some of these will get completed fairly quickly, you'll see what you have left at the end too.
Right, right.
There could be $20,000-$30,000 left.
right,
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
But obviously you have to hit the ones that have a time frame.
Yeah.
On them, so.
So of the ones in the top 12, should we, like the charity ones, Greenwoods and so on, should we today cut those down or?
Well, wait, we're not there.
So I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but the problem is the library feels strongly about the library. I understand that.
Yeah.
Ed Dorsett's not sitting here. He would feel equally strongly about Morris Historical Society.
right.
The Barn Restaurant's not sitting here. They would feel equally strongly about the Barn Restaurant. So either we have a hard cutoff in our recommendation and then let the politicians do their thing, or we're back at square one, in my opinion, and I don't like being back at square one.
I think you're missing I don't know, the point I was trying to get to is Ed Dorsett's not here, right? But, you know, if we end up like neither is, you know, the Northwest Transit. If they got 8,000, Greenwood's got 8,000, Phantom Lake got 20,000, you know, Ed Dorsett's gonna be happy to make the list. And so I guess that was my point. We got hard numbers, but some of these numbers, that's an ask. So, you know, for anybody under rank 12, 0 is definitely not happy. Something is something. And I think that's what Maureen just said at the library.
But
If
if
they
you,
don't get the whole
but-
ask, but they get something.
that wasn't my point. My point
I know.
was, if we're gonna open this back up to one, it's not fair to not open it back up to everybody.
I think I
And
am.
if you open it back up to everybody, what did we just spend all these weeks doing? That's my point.
What do you mean, open it back
I
up to
don't-
everybody?
Well, you want it open back up to add something for the library because you feel passionately about that. I appreciate that. But everybody below 12 feels passionately about their thing.
Right.
So if you're gonna open it back up for one, on what basis are you doing that, not opening it back up
Oh,
for everybody?
I don't think we're not opening it back up to everybody.
I
If
would,
you do that, what have we just spent this time doing?
Can I
I
make a
get
suggestion?
what you're saying. You're right. You just voted. Anything above
Well-
5 should be considered
Yeah.
as.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
I
the,
have a suggestion. What about taking anything under 4 off the list? So there's some big dollar items down there that are ranked very low. You know, if we take those off, and then we'll come up with what's important from ranking 4 and above.
No one cares about seniors, I guess.
we do, it's just a big number, darling.
We all care about
Yeah,
this.
yeah, like-
You don't.
Wait,
Get a playground.
I have a chore.
I didn't want a playground. That's,
You don't have the-
now you want to, I
Really,
really.
I'm still fighting for chore.
Talking rank 4.
Look, but
That
we,
may be important.
Yeah.
I don't know, Ben.
Anything,
I mean, we could be.
I feel
done
like-
tomorrow night. It's not really up to us.
I feel like
because
our,
that would free up almost 100,000 right there. They're over 100,000.
I think, are you saying like,
if we open it up to the town meeting where everything is up for grabs, it's gonna be,
That's a zoo. I think
it's
that's.
gonna be a
You think they
zoo.
don't know about the list?
Of course, it's public.
So, I
I mean, I feel like
If
the
they come in
committee
and it's
voted
not
and
on the
it's
list.
ranked how we've all voted.
We are not, we are an advisory committee.
Right, we're an advisory
We
committee.
should do that by making some hard recommendations and be as unfortunately, we have to be the bad guys on this.
I think, Kyle, are you saying
So
eliminate?
be a bad guy. You convinced me not to be a bad
Yeah,
guy.
so we all rank,
all right, wait, one at a time here, guys.
it's ranked, okay? So anything that's ranked from 4 and under, I mean, I think should be taken off the list because it's, I mean, it doesn't seem like the committee ranked it high enough to
Wouldn't say taken off the list, we'll just say
put on,
Not considered.
put on hold or, you know, make a separate line on it or something.
or there's insufficient fund, we love all these ideas, but there's insufficient funding to address them.
So then,
Right.
I agree with the concept, but then what about between 5 and 4? What is that?
Well, once those are off, then we could see what the balance is after that. And then
That's,
fine tune it.
And like
That's
Tom said, as projects get finished,
There might be some money.
there might
freed
be
up.
money. So I mean, I don't want to cut this list of 10, walk away and say, that's it. I'm not comfortable doing that. I won't vote for that.
Right.
I think the list, what's on here, we all agree is valid. And yeah, you could do some of these projects and there's balances. So, you know, those projects can come back on the list.
Do we still want to, all right, Board of Finance has to do some work, right?
We do.
Morris Fire Company has to do some work.
Yeah.
Get some numbers. I can do some more looking into some of these projects that are in the top 12 or whatever and try to get a harder number for that. Should we kind of do that work?
Yeah.
Come back in 2 weeks and hopefully 2 weeks and have a list, need a recommendation from this committee to go to the Board of Selectmen. So the Board of Selectmen can go out and talk to the public
Yep.
on what you guys recommended. And then see where that ends up. You know,
Or do you want to, I mean, going back to, we've done our ranking, we've done our list, we can continue, we can do both. I think we can send this to selectmen to start to hash out and do
Let's-
whatever, and we can still do some back work here.
Let's get it more ready for prime time. You're 50,000, you're 50,000.
I have 50,000.
And at least the next.
That's why I'm not jumping, yeah.
You know, so it would be nice to know if, I know it's a lot of work because you have a lot of things to look at. There's still some unknowns.
Not
out
too
there.
much. I call Rick, I call Rob, my York is.
It's not just that, because you have the capital, non-recurring that you really have to look at.
Can the message sign be in that conversation about capital?
Okay, I'm gonna now defer back to you. Have you guys looked at capital? I mean, I know where we were at.
We're compiling,
Do you have
revised
surprises?
lists, yeah. Oh,
Are there surprises?
Definitely.
Okey dokey then. I think maybe then we can't until we get some more information. Because there's information I don't have.
When's your next meeting?
I mean, I can call, I didn't have enough people. I'm not available, neither is Chris and a couple other people, but I can call a special meeting or it'll be in 2 weeks.
Do we meet in 3 weeks?
I mean, I can call a special, but you were talking March to send stuff to us. So,
I think we can get the capital non-recurring list together in 2 weeks with good numbers for you. Rick has the numbers, those aren't changing. What we have,
I mean, I don't think you need my board vote.
What if you move
We
money
have to
to,
crunch.
if you move money, I mean, I don't know all the bylaws and whatever I'm supposed to.
We're not doing anything right now. It's a matter of
No, we
on
have
a
money.
piece
we
of
can-
paper, if we have this much money, we're putting in this much money, we bring in this much money. What do we end up with? It's actually simple math. And Rob would know, what do we have to come down for down payment? What would be total cost? So those are the main things. Then we'd know if we need more capital, then it gets more complicated. Then we know if we need fund balance, then it gets more complicated. I just have no idea what to know. I don't know. You know, I don't know anything about fire trucks. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I'm not even worried about the
Right.
fire truck. Yeah, I'm not hear what you're saying. I mean, there is, again, this ain't a finance meeting, so, you know, this is an ARPA meeting, so.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if I had
Yeah.
those things, I could know which direction to go in then, you know?
we want to come back in 3 weeks, is that pushing it? I don't care, but
We have this info.
I think the deliverable, like to say, hey, we did our part, we called back into active duty, but like we did our part, is to have this, take this master list and identify, you know, the top things we can fully fund and show that we vetted it, and then make a recommendation based on timing against that. And kind of leave it at that. I think we have to be pretty pointed in our recommendation. Yeah, you have 2,000 people who are going to be very vocal about things they care about.
Right.
And that's,
Uh-huh.
nothing orderly will happen. Our job is to create order for free money. It's like, you know, it's a truck throwing cash off the back. It's chaos.
Yeah, Tom, whenever you think we'd have this info, let's set the date.
I would go with the 3 then. Not gonna happen overnight. So we're looking at 10.
Do we have to do it on a Thursday?
Can we do it on the Wednesday, the 9th?
No, I can't make Wednesdays, guys. Sorry.
Thursdays are tough for me too.
Speaking of one of the surprise things, it's Wednesday night, the 9th. I think we're having a public forum here about possible resident trooper. So I don't know if that would. Is that
Oh,
on?
that's a game changer
on this
right
list?
there.
Oh.
Are you going to vote with that right now?
Going to vote? No, it's just a forum. We're gonna have be sharing one with Bethlehem. So we'd split the cost, which is still not cheap.
Yeah, right, the
And the
preliminary.
first selectman from Bethlehem, who was a former state trooper and resident trooper, and Bethlehem's current resident trooper would be here. Does the people have questions? What would it mean for Morris?
how would it benefit us? Is it worth it? You know, things like that. It's not a yes or no. So,
You're not going, that's my thing. You're not making a decision that night, because remember how I said it takes 30 years to buy a fire truck? This would be one of the reasons why.
They're gonna drive a fire truck.
No, somebody gets money, somebody don't.
want to go in the afternoon on the 9th?
Is it Wednesday?
Yes.
I can't, I'm not in town on Wednesdays. Tuesdays or Fridays.
March 3rd, well, that's 2 weeks. I mean, the 10th is fine.
Do I need,
Yeah, I can't.
can I get numbers together that have nothing to do with the board? I mean, I don't know. Right now,
You want numbers?
yeah, I'm looking from, do I need to go deeper? I mean, I could look at some preliminaries and say yay or nay.
I mean,
I don't know. Let me know what day is good for everybody, because
Yeah, I can't do the 10th. I'm out of town. Sorry.
Gonna push it out to the 17th.
Friday, the 11th?
do we want to give,
I can do Friday the 11th.
No, out of town.
we want to give selectmen some rights to vote on the upper portion so they can get.
What's I mean, do they want to, do you want to take the whole
Community
list and let them start chewing it down?
Approve the community hall access.
So like a house menu.
No, but I mean, again, like the housing authority, it seems like if they want to vote on that, to get that going, and since it is time sensitive, it's maybe they don't have to wait for us to come, you know what I mean?
No, have to wait for us anyways. We're just advisory.
Yeah. No, that's.
But I don't mind saying,
Don't you say we have to make a motion?
I was suggesting that we have done our work and, if the selectman says, say, when concert with the finance committee, we'd really like to drill down a little bit more on the fire truck. I'm not sure what, I have nothing to add to that. Maybe some of the rest of you around this table do, but I have no idea about capital. I demonstrated that. So I'm not sure why this committee should be doing that work. I would think that would be then back with finance and selectmen. And I was suggesting, but I was told I was, as usual, too early, that we say we have made our recommendations. And now it's up to, you guys, Tom, Vinny, Tracy, Erica, Rick, to take those recommendations, plug in the public and, figure out the fire truck. Great.
great.
Figure out which ones are time sensitive, like we know about the June 30th deadline. Great. But I have nothing more to add. Really.
What was that motion again?
Wow.
I move that this committee submit its ranked voting schedule as its recommendation to the Board of Selectmen with advice from the treasurer and the Board of Finance for how to, and with appropriate input from the public on how to spend our ARPA funds.
I'll second that.
Discussion. Makes sense. Yeah,
So we don't.
Should we vote on it?
so we don't need to come back.
Well, we're on call in case.
Well, yeah.
No, but there's been no vote on the motion.
Yeah.
no, we're discussing.
Oh, now we're on discussion.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, you have to, people can,
I think
Thought we already had that.
I think that's good. We could, could call us back in 3-4 weeks to see where you're at or whatever.
Okay, well, we're free. It's kind of like the army.
If somebody wants to make a presentation, they present it to the committee.
Yeah.
How they feel.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Me.
All the rest of it. Yeah, so I mean, there will be discussions like with the Board of Finance, hopefully work some numbers, Rick and Rob and our capital non-recurring committee to work things out. But I think Board of Selectmen have something to go with and we'll have to get some public input.
I just want to voice that the message sign needs to go to public vote. Because just having a sign put up there, the blue will be.
for certain charities.
Well, no, I think it's, could cause accidents with stop signs. It could make it look ugly over there. It's
I
got a
think
lot.
you're in the minutia of what's there's. Or not.
Oh, I know it. I'm just saying, I'm not for the sign in town.
If you've ever had to put letters up on that sign, you would be.
Yeah.
legally signed that's sitting there waiting
I
to be
totally
produced,
understand
but.
that. We're gonna wind up with a street light there.
Do you have to do that?
So we not coming back?
Oh, yeah, what? There was nothing.
Back prior to it goes to the public.
Yeah, yeah.
We're on.
I know, I have work.
Is there a second?
I second motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Hey, it gets to be John Q. You get to be the public now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
The grant would go to the next meeting you have, or?